Thanks for clicking this video. In this video, I describe my last birth experience, and then I read a poem that, for me, helped me seal in what I know now is part of my purpose, which is to be a doula and be there to support other mamas, to have the birth that they deserve. Um, yeah, so keep watching, and I hope you enjoy it and it gives you something, especially empowerment. I hope it empowers you, whether you're a birthing mum that's ready to be, deliver shortly, whether you are a doula that is not quite born herself yet, whether um, you're a new mum and the baby's quite small. Um, I wish that it empowers you, and if you need support, and it's feasible, you're within the East Midlands at least, maybe at a stretch the West Midlands, then I'm here for you. And even even if it's just somebody at the end of a phone to talk to and support, use me. I'm here to serve you. Okay, bye. Enjoy the video. This is a letter that I addressed to the Critical Incident Unit of Leicester General Hospital. I was admitted to hospital on the 4th of August 2007. I gave birth on the 6th of August 2007, and it was a normal delivery with no pain relief except for gas and air. My notes do not reflect this. They suggest that I was given an epidural during labour. This is my third child. I had planned a home birth. I had rung in just as I was leaving the house to go to carnival, only to alert my midwife that my waters had broken and that I would probably be calling her soon to say my labour had started. I was over 37 weeks, so I was safe to have a home birth. I was told to still come in and get a quick check, just in case. Concerned for the safety of my unborn child, I did as I was told. I was told after examination that my baby was too high up and that I would have to be admitted. The midwife said that she was worried that the cord could go around the baby's neck. I had felt the baby's head pressing down for at least 2 weeks previously, and indeed had been told that the baby's head was right down but not engaged at my last antenatal appointment. I feel the first mistake was admitting me when I was due a home birth. I delivered my second child at home and was at home for most of the labour with my first child. I had since spoken to health professionals and mothers alike, who all confirmed that I did not have to be in hospital even though my waters had broken, because a woman can go 2 weeks with her water broke. The baby was comfortable by their measurements, and I was fine. I just feel that I was robbed of the home labour, since it wasn't my first baby, and I was happy to stay at home to see if things progressed naturally. Obviously, that did not happen. I delivered my daughter naturally. However, following her delivery, things went quickly downhill. The complications, I feel, were obvious, and my birth partners agree, as do all health professionals that I have seen since returning home. I spent 2 days on the same bed in the same delivery room because it took all concerned that long to diagnose the problem. I could not sit upright. Every time I did, I would pass out or feel very faint. I was losing a lot of blood and blood clots, massive ones. My womb was not contracting down properly. It was high. I didn't mean nothing to me at the time, but this is what they kept saying. My blood pressure was very low. Even my skin looked very pale, and I usually have a darker skin complexion. I was complaining of pain in my abdomen and a lot of pressure down below. When the complications began, I had passed out when I came around. The doctors and midwives were discussing ordering 5 units of blood. However, they went out of the room, and then after some time they came back in. My mum and birthing partner began to inquire as to where the blood was, and they were told that did not they did not know what they were talking about. Nobody said anything about any blood, but all three of us heard them say they needed to order some blood, as I had lost about 1,700, and at the time, like I said, I didn't know what that meant. I was told I couldn't have the blood unless I took the pain relief. When I refused pain relief, I was told that there was nothing they could do for me. I was repeatedly offered pain relief. Some of it I was allergic to, and I was wearing a red wristband alerting all concerned to this. It really disturbs me when I think about the fact that if my mum had not been there, I would have been the one explaining that I could not have the pain relief they were offering me because it could be life-threatening. Indeed, I lost a cousin earlier that same year who was allergic to the pain relief she was given. By the third morning after delivery at 7:30 a.m., I was trying to have a bed wash to change the blood-soaked mat from underneath me, as the midwives, except Jill, seemed reluctant, and I despise burdening people. My mum had been coming up and helping me, but the staff wanted to get me over toward 30 and was saying that I should have my breakfast and get washed. This isn't written here, but it's just reminded me of how they kept on making me feel like I was just acting and I was just trying to get extra time in hospital, which I hate hospitals. I'd still not gotten off the bed, and since delivery, or sat completely upright. I was left alone to try to wash myself and change the mat. As soon as I sat upright, this has happened all the time anyway, but I've not been through that before, so I didn't know why I kept fainting every time I sat upright. But somebody, in that hospital should have known. But let me just read the letter anyway, see. As soon as I sat upright, I felt a strong urge to push, and I was very scared because I felt because it felt massive, whatever it was going to come out. When I wiped myself, there was old clots stuck to my skin and fresh clots. When I looked at the size of them, it sent me into shock, I think. All I remember was pressing the button because I felt faint, then all the staff coming around. I've wrote that, but I don't remember them coming around. I remember them, I just opened my eyes and they was all over me, shouting at each other, effing and blinding at each other. I was so glad for one in particular who I feel saved my life. I did not get his name, but he just came in and said she needs to go to theatre immediately. Remember, I'm writing this to them, so I'm going to pause here and tell you exactly what happened, because I'm sure they all remember, so I didn't bother putting all in writing how they was cussing each other. What the fuck? I'm sorry to swear, but I'm just telling you exactly what happened. I'm waking up, I'm on my back, I'm opening my eyes, and I'm seeing like an Asian woman and an Asian doctor, and they seem to be like in charge of everybody, and I could tell by what they were saying that they had just come on shift, and they hadn't been on shift since I come in the hospital, so it's their first time seeing me, and they're like, what the hell is going on? Get her ready, prep her for theatre, prep yourself for theatre, blah blah. And the people that have been there since I've been in are arguing with them, saying that she's fine, just fobbing them off. And luckily these people are higher up, so they're like, no, listen, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, but get her ready for theatre now. And I was just like, Lord, thank you for these people. It was a nightmare waiting for someone. I had prayed as soon as I saw myself keep fainting the day I delivered. Had prayed and just was waiting patiently with faith, just holding on to the faith. But I felt like I was surrounded by, I'm not going to lie, I felt also surrounded by some wicked people who they were just waiting for me to die. That's how I felt like. It was a test of my faith, and it was definitely character building. So where was I? Prep her for theatre immediately. I remember someone saying to just give her gas and air and let her calm down. but he was adamant that he needed to find out what was wrong, and it was a relief to see someone showing real concern at last. Oh God. It was also embarrassing though too, because I pushed out several massive clots while he was still in the room. But my dignity was gone by then. I just wanted to be out of the hospital, take my baby home, and get away from these demons. I'm sorry. That's what I would describe them as. Because for them to, I wouldn't know what was going on with me, but they would have been trained and knew what was going on with me and were just watching me suffer. I will take this opportunity to also say thanks to Jill Valance, who contributed to a pleasurable labour as much as can be expected. I feel the midwives do a tremendous job. They are under way too much pressure, and women in general are severely undervalued. In theatre, it was discovered that part of my placenta had been removed. In hindsight, I do feel like this is due to the last part of my labour being rushed, which, if I was at home, would not have happened. My birth partners and I all noticed that towards the end of the shift, there was more clock watching. I had written a birth plan, yet my birth partners had to constantly explain that I didn't want any symptometry, etc., to speed things up. I had not been in labour very long anyway, and the baby was comfortable. I had a strong urge to push when I was only 7 centimetres dilated. I got down on my hands and knees and stuck my bum up, something which I had found invaluable in previous labours. I was told that I had to stop doing this as I needed to be examined. Once examined, I was told that I could not get back in that position as I was being monitored, but had the monitor on all the whole time. When the next contraction came, I just had to push, and my daughter was born. I have to say here about being on all fours, apart from that labour, my body, I just followed my body, and my body always wanted to be on all fours when it was time to deliver the baby into the world. So that was it was just frustrating being told that I couldn't do that, and the reason that I couldn't do that didn't make sense because I had the monitor stuff on all the whole time. It doesn't stop you from moving around. I tore, and I never tore with the other two, and I was also told that my cervix had came down, and that didn't mean anything to me. My birth plan explained that I did not want anything to deliver the placenta. I just wanted it to do it naturally as with previous labours, but after several efforts to persuade me, I gave in. I believe this is what caused the problem with my placenta. I've not written it here for some reason, but I wouldn't know because I was lying. She had me lying down. But my birth partners, both my good friend and my mum, said that they took the cord, she wrapped it around her hand twice and pulled it. And I think that's what made the placenta tear and why half of it got left inside me. I'm not a medical practitioner, but it's common sense. Like, how did it tear? And how would it have torn if I would have just delivered it naturally like I did previous births? I don't think so. Also, I was told that I was getting a local anaesthetic in theatre, but realised afterwards when I had my wits about me that it was actually an epidural I had, which I was dead against. Fair enough, the staff did what they had to do, and the Almighty bless them for that, but they should make people clear of what they are signing up to. It is just like a conveyor belt in there. A doctor came up to me on ward 30, my first morning there. This is like before the labour started, because they told me I couldn't go home after I came in for the examination because my water had broke. And he came in on that first morning, while basically the day carnival was going on, and he said, "Come on, let's get you over there and induce you." And when obviously I was against that. When I brought up that I had been told that I would be given at least 2 days to let my body do its own thing, he told me I had cesarean written on my forehead. How very nice. And that he knew I wanted a complication-free labour as with my first two, but that pregnancy is like getting into the car. Complications should be expected. He even seemed to gloat when he saw me afterwards. Only when, and this is an African man, by the way, only when I went over to recovery, I mentioned that he was African because I was so disappointed in him. Anyway, when I went over to recovery, I was given the 5 units of blood. So imagine I'm anemic by then. Like I've been 2-3 days just losing blood, losing massive blood clots, and only after this doctor's come in have the blood's been ordered for me, even though somebody, a group of them, about 3 of them, said we need to order some blood, and they decided the amount, but they refused to give it me because I wouldn't take this painkillers that would have probably killed me, because I always vomit when I have them. And imagine I'm trying to vomit, I probably would have choked on my frigging vomit. But this video is not about that, because I couldn't get up. Every time I got up I fainted, so I would have been, my body would have been regurgitating while I've passed out. I don't, only Jinyame, only God. I don't plan to have any more children, but it terrifies me that my life will be in such hands again if I do. I think that, I mean, you know, I'm single right now, but I've always thought that maybe one of the reasons why I stay single, and you know, don't even put myself anywhere near the chance of having any more kids, is because of that trauma. Never mind, you know, other dynamics at play, you know. I just need to know that my case has been investigated and lessons learned and procedures put in place to prevent this ever happening again. Please let me know if this has indeed happened. How could all this and more happen? Question mark. Yours sincerely, a very concerned Miss N.N. Wenham. So this was written on the 28th of September 2007. So my daughter was probably just over a month old, 6 weeks old. Yeah, I remember now, because I went for my 6-week check, and my doctor was ever so good. When I walked in, I felt strong when I walked in by the time we had my 6 weeks check, and I was just, I don't know about you guys, but something like that, like a near-death experience, it just made me cherish life so much. I was on top of the world, like I was, you know, this brand new baby, I'm alive, you know, it's the middle of summer, the sun's on my skin, like everything was precious to me. So I wasn't, you know, I was out of that situation. I wasn't living in the trauma of the situation. I was living in the moment. Everything was just so precious. I was having like traumatic, you know, flashbacks, like very early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd have really disturbing dreams, or I'd be driving, or just doing something, you know, just daily tasks, and I just really scary flashbacks would come to me. But apart from that, I was seriously living my best life. I was so in the flow and in tune and just joyous and just celebrating life. So I've come in the room for the 6-week check into the surgery, and before I could even sit down, the doctors said, "Oh my God," she's reading the screen, looking at her laptop or desktop at them times. "Sit down, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What's the matter?" I know it had only happened 6 weeks ago, but I was like, you know, have you had some results or whatever? Because, you know, you still get your health visitors and blah, blah. Has something come up with my health or my baby's health? And she was like, no, because she saw she concerned me. She was like, no, it's all right. Because I'm just reading what happened in the hospital. This is before I wrote the letter. So it's whatever they've said about what happened with me. And she's like, you should write a letter of complaint, even if you don't send it. Just to, you know, get, it's a good, you know, writing, which I love writing anyway, and so that's why I did it, because I knew that that's right, but obviously I hadn't made time for it because I just wanted to focus on the good things and be positive and, you know, upful. She was like, you should get it all down, even if you don't send it to them. Just get all that trauma write it out. It will be therapeutic for you, and you can send it. And she strongly advised me to send it because it's out of order. You know, she goes. She said something. Don't quote me, but she said something about the body's got 8 pints of blood in it, and you lost 5 to 6 pints of blood. Like, you was very, very close. Like, you're lucky to be here. But I knew that. I just knew that from how I was feeling and how I was being treated. Like, I knew. And I just give thanks, and I wish I could locate those two doctors that actually came in and was viciously protecting me and defending me, and which doctors are supposed to do, and making sure I got what I needed so I could be sitting here right now. So yeah, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote the other day, and then I don't want to ramble because I wrote this probably a month ago, but it's in writing. It's in the impetus to write the poem and then finally getting the poem out written that I realised I could do this after, but I'm not saying to do it now. I realised that I had been at my sister's birth before, because my daughter and her daughter are 6 weeks apart, so I'd been at her birth, and I had just naturally, I think all women have naturally got what I know now is a doula in them. So we were both, me and my sister were both looking after my sister in her birth, and we both just, probably because we'd already had children, we both knew, where to rub her back, how to cheer her on, just, yeah. So then I had my experience with my daughter, and I had told my cousin what had happened and everything, and that just, I knew, I didn't know what a doula was, but I knew that I wanted to change something. But at that time I wanted to obviously focus on bringing up my own children, and there was this, I feel like there was a lot going on. I was going through divorce, so I did, let's just do one thing at a one or two things at a time. Deal with this divorce and deal with bringing up this baby and get the baby to a good healthy age. Pour your love into your baby. So yeah, but I like I said, I wouldn't have known that it was to go and be doing this, but I knew that I wanted to impact change, because even though they wrote me back and they said, oh, we're gonna use this letter as part of our training and blah blah blah, but to me, the fact that those two doctors came in and straight away they was like, what the shit is this? They didn't need no training. There's just obviously something wrong with the way how the culture, and I'm not going to start a whole nother video about how we get treated. It's a fact, and I've heard anyway, different people within the pharmaceutical or medical industry say we get treated differently. It's a fact, and yeah. So I'm rambling now, but yeah. So I did my sister's birth. I was at my sister's birth, and then maybe 2-3 years later I was at my cousin's birth, and my cousin, I don't know, she has never said this to me, but I feel like because she saw the fire in me, she asked me to be at her birth, because she knew that I wouldn't be letting anyone mistreat her, and she would, the way how I would have wanted someone to speak up for me, and I did give thanks, have someone to speak up for me to an extent, because obviously they're not medically trained, so they wouldn't have known even what was happening with me, to say, hey, get her to theatre or whatever, but at least someone who is on your side. And I'm sorry to say, but a lot of the time, I don't know if it's the culture or the way the system is set up, but it feels like there's nobody on your side, and you're ever so vulnerable. Yeah, so I agreed, definitely, absolutely. It was a yes straight away to be at her birth. And I will mention that I was in the middle of doing Queen Afiwa's Sacred Woman journey. I was going through all my gateways and everything. And so I had been reading every day as part of that journey. And I just used what I learned. And then some of the stuff was just intuitive during her labour, to take care of her and support her and everything. I'm not going to go through the whole labour in this video, but I do plan to make this a series, but I don't want to procrastinate. We'll see what flows. I'm just going with what I've been guided to share today. Yeah. The whole labour, I'll say that part, the whole labour, they had been, as soon as she got there, There was like, you know, prepping her to sign something to do cesarean, putting the thing on her, just basically getting her ready for theatre as soon as she got there. And she didn't want that, and she told me and her husband that she didn't want that, and that obviously we spoke up for her every time they kept saying it. And very quickly, from the time I got there to whenever they started, they just ignored me. They did not speak to me. It was really awkward, but I didn't care because my focus was my cousin. I wasn't interested. If you didn't want to talk to me, I'm not here for you. And that wasn't no malice or hostility. It was just, you obviously, anybody who's been in a labour room knows your focus is on that birthing mother, especially if she's close to you. But even if she isn't, like, you just want her to deliver that baby safely, and you want her to get the labour she wants. And if she, you know, you just do what she wants. And if the medical, because to me, I'm not against the medical staff or workers, but if they're not saying that the baby is in distress, the mother is not in distress, why can't she have the birth that she wants? Why are you getting her ready for theatre? She's just got here. She just got here. What is wrong with you? So, so they started ignoring me. And then but my cousins and her husband, they would just, they started just talking to me and not talking to them unless it was absolutely necessary. I didn't tell them to do that. I wasn't concerned with that. And then I just kept, it was like a little private joke. Like, you're going to ignore her? Okay, we're going to ignore you unless we really need to talk to you. And I think that was agitating them, to be honest, because they kept on trying to get her to do this C-section, which she didn't want. So fast forward all the other stuff. She what happened now? Yeah, so her womb was progressing and dilating really nicely, even though they weren't saying that, but I could hear them saying, you know, 7 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 9 centimeters, or whatever. It was opening. Her womb was opening nicely, and for some reason, and I think it sent shivers down my spine. I don't know how her husband felt, and I can't. Well, I do actually, because I have had my womb swept while I'm in the middle of a contraction, so I know how my cousin felt. They just took, the midwife took, I think, 2 or 3 fingers and swept around her womb while she was in the middle of a contraction. And I told her, I could see what she was getting ready to do. I told her not to do that because I know how it feels. And sorry, my cousin was saying, don't do that, you know. And I think we were all saying that, don't do that, but they was just like doing whatever they wanted to do, as they do. And then I couldn't take it anymore. You know, the energy in the room, like me, her and her husband were just all on the same page, and they were like, no, can you sign this? Like, she's in the middle of a contraction and asking her to sign the paper. Come on, we've got to get you down there. You know, doing the womb sweep while she's in the middle. Just being like very conveyor belt. You know, this is not a person lying here on a bed in front of you. This is just a number that we've got to get through to the next stage of this process, according to how we're thinking. I don't know what came over me. It was just intuition, and I just listened. I went and stood. So they're asking her to sign this thing, and they're doing the sweep at the same time. And then I went and I stood in between her hands. I did I don't know what you would call this, but I did, like, I would say Rastafari hands, you know, just the praying hands. Now I know you could also call it a mudra, because there's an energy when you put your hands like that, which a lot of Rastafari or even cultural people will know. And I just closed my eyes. And then I said this prayer of protection, which I'll probably make another video about because I don't want to overload you guys. It's a very short prayer. It's a prayer for protection and guidance. And then I opened my eyes within like one sentence. Like, it probably takes 10 seconds to say the prayer, and there's a visualization that goes with it. I opened my eyes. So I'm closing my eyes, and I remember I closed my eyes, and they were doing the womb sweep and asking her to sign something. They'd already put this band on it to say, you know, that when they're preparing you for theatre, they'd already washed their hands, put on their thing, and all, just getting ready. She's getting ready to go, and I think they'd even brought the bed outside that they were going to move her onto. They just fully was ready to do what they wanted to do, and then I opened my eyes after saying the prayer, and then all I could hear was push, push, you can do it, push, and the baby was there. Yeah, and me, and I don't know her, because I think she was probably out of it. How you feel like, oh my God, I've done it, I've done it. But I'm sure me and our husband looked at each other like, whoa. Even though I'm the one that said the prayer, and I'll do another video about that. There were maybe 3 to 4 other times when I used that prayer, and it's very, very powerful. Yeah, so I know it was the prayer, because even the 2 of the staff that was behind, and there was on this like a desk that comes to height level or whatever, just for making notes on. They were making notes, and they even turned around, because it was like 1 minute they were saying, come on, get ready for theatre, and the next minute they told her to push. Like, it didn't make sense, but it did make sense, because that's magic. It's magic. Yeah, so I just had to sit down. And I was exhausted. We was all exhausted, and I just remember my cousin turning to me. They were all like congratulating themselves. I can't remember what they were saying, because, like I said, I wasn't paying attention to them. But I just remember they said something to her, like, congratulations or whatever, and she just turned her head away from them. She looked at me and she said, Nzinga, thank you for being here. So emaciated, and just tears, because I knew it wasn't me. I knew that this is why I clicked record, and it's just flowed like this. I didn't know the word doula, but I knew some other energy had been born in me that day. So yeah, that's why I hit record, because I want people to know that I'm one more in an ocean of doulas. So if you need support, whether it's prenatal or postnatal support, I'm all about that. You give me a call. I'll put my contact details in the description box and somewhere in this video as well. My social media handles and all that good stuff. But yeah, I just feel if I can be of service and I can be of help, and money is not an issue. It'll be nice, we all need to eat, but money is not an issue. Don't make money an issue. If you need support during your labour and you feel unsupported, you feel like you're fighting when you should be relaxing right now, you're very vulnerable, give me a call, get in touch. So let me read the poem, and then what happened? Hold on. Okay. So yeah, writing this poem made me realise that maybe the 9 to 10 years that's gone, I had been in fear of them, when really they were probably in fear of me, and I probably internalized that fear as that I should be afraid of them, because I didn't say, as I was leaving the hospital, as I was leaving the hospital, just walking out and thinking, oh, I can't wait to get in my bed, and she did it, and just really elated. My trail of thoughts got broken, and I just heard someone behind me, one of the women that was ignoring me in the room actually, she said, oh, I know who you are, and she was tapping into the computer. I know who you are. And then I was smiling. I said, yeah, thinking she knows me from somewhere. And she said, yes, it's in Nzinga Naomi Wenham, 10th of the 11th, 1977. And then she said my address, what I won't say now, but she called out my address down to the postcode. And that sent, so I'm in elation, that my cousin's got the birth she deserved. And then she's basically, I don't know, I took it as like, we know who you are, like I'm a targeted individual or something. And don't forget, it had only been 2 years, or maybe a year, maybe 18 months, I can't remember exactly, that I had gone through my own trauma in hospital and nearly died. So when she said, oh, we know who you are, and she gave me my vital statistics, I was like, yo, Okay then. Because I was like, I'm born, like, I didn't know the word doula, but I'm a be out here in these labour rooms because this shit's got to start. Um, yeah, and I don't know what it is that happened. There's a series of events that I think led me to the point where I know I needed to use my creative writing as a way to heal and release that fear of being targeted for um, standing up for, pregnant women and, new mothers. um, I think one of those things was definitely, I have an acquaintance who does past life regression, and she does it according to the Dolores Cannon, I would say, method, where basically you get into theta state, which is, I'm not going to describe what it is. I'll go on Google and put it in under this video somewhere. Um, and then it's basically you're in touch with your higher self, and then your higher self answers all your questions. So you made a list of questions before you went into the past life regression, and then the answers to all those questions come. And one of the things that came up during the actual regression before I got to ask my questions was a labour situation and what that was all about. And then I asked, what, has that got something to do with this life? And it was that I'm in now, and it was, yes, this is part of what you should be, the service you should be offering, how you should be serving humanity. And it was funny, or not funny, it was very synchronous, that 2 to 3 days before, the same cousin who I had that experience I just described to you with, she had told me that she was expecting again, and that she wanted me to be her doula. And I was like, what's that? I think I'd heard it, but I couldn't. You know, when you've heard things, but you'd never really looked into it, so you couldn't tell anybody what it means, but you've heard the word. And then she said, yeah, blah blah blah. She defined what a doula was, and then I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll be your doula. Um, yeah, even though I felt like, will I be a target? It's love, and love will, once there's love involved. I love my cousin, obviously. Um, fear is out the door. Love casts out all fear. Perfect love. And you'll hear in this poem that I realised when she said, "We know who you are," it was really that. When you have to eliminate certain people who walk with that low energy, they fear you, they're intimidated by you, so they have to eliminate that threat by making you feel intimidated. That's what I realized. Because you wouldn't, it's like those people, like, you're just minding your own business and people say, "I'm not scared of you," and you think, "I don't want you to be scared of me, what the hell?" Then you realize they are scared of you. Anyway, so yeah, doula reflections. I've just called it doula reflections. It's a bit of a lazy title. As I reflect on my last birth story, I see why I am so weary of love and my fertility ultimately. The experience absolutely and totally crushed me. Abuse doesn't even begin to describe. Guide my hand to Hootie and Shisheta, scribe. I am finally taking up the mantle after years of healing, internal, trauma so unbelievable. To save just one woman would be wonderful. I'd work for free if the truth be told. A new dawn upon us we all must mould. We all must shape it by our action. Heed our calling, no distraction. Open your mind, no more fatal attraction. Dazzled by degrees rather than divine intuition. Maternity institutions, licensed natural introspection. Nature's way eroded by capitalization, yet behold on the horizon a thunderstorm of new mothers of yesterday saying with their actions, "We're here to stay. You thought you buried me, you didn't. Realize a fierce dealer was bought. Realize, I probably need to say that twice. Realize a fierce doula was born that day. All doulas, clap for yourselves. Yay. I am woman, I bend, I don't break. I went into shock and took some deep rest. Now I am awake and ready for all the tests. As I share my experience and inventory, I go from victim to victory by supporting you to experience a joyful birth story. For more information, just call on me. Don't let a negative experience just be. It's not just the way it is. See, there is another way to birth happily. Join the thousands by changing the narrative with me. Avoid the risk of becoming a tragic story. Instead, choose the most empowered birth possibility. Let me say that again. Avoid the risk of becoming a tragic story. Instead, choose the most empowered birth possibility. Thank you for listening. I just want to say as well, as I think is important to say, if you wanted a cesarean, you want whatever you want, doesn't mean that you don't. I'm not here to support you if you're not having the kind of birth I personally wanted. You don't need to want the birth I personally wanted. You just need to want support, because you still need to have support. There might be reasons why you need a C-section or whatever procedure that is not deemed as natural. If it's going to get your baby here safely and you are in agreement with it, I'm here for you still if you want me, if you need me with you. Yeah. So just know that. And I think that's all I want to say. So as I usually say, and I love you, and I want you to love you too, because that's all you came here to do. Mwah. I hope you enjoyed that. To stay in touch with me, do hit subscribe, and you can follow me on my social medias. I'll leave those in the description box and put them in below here. But it's Yogini Zing for my yoga page at Yogini Zing. For my shop, it's www.zingalix.com. If you follow me on social media or even sign up to my mailing list, which I'll put a link to it in the description box, then you can be up to date with any events, newsletters, videos that I might post on my website and stuff like that. So yeah, enjoy your day, have a fabulous day, and I hope it's even all the more empowered for watching this video. Peace and much love. Mwah.